Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today we have got somewhere in between a doodle pattern and a zentangle pattern. Now, I know there's specific rules around what makes a zentangle pattern specifically, but let's just have fun and create and not get caught up in the finer details, because this one I really love and it's super, super simple. We're going to do a finished card with this today, of course. Now, all you need is a ruler, and I use some sort of black fine line pen or fine roller pen. These are the scrapbook.com ink rollers, and I really, really love them. Now, I started off with this piece of cardstock and ended up changing my mind pretty quickly, because I decided I end up wanting 4 even squares because I changed my mind a little bit on design. That's how fast it ends up changing, and that's okay. We can change our minds as much as we like. I'm going to make a square. You can do a rectangle, you can do a circle, you can do whatever shape you want. And I'm going to make 4 of them. These ones happen to be 2 inches by 2 inches. And you'll see me sometimes in between, I have a paper towel that I will quickly wipe up and down my ruler just to make sure that there's no excess ink on there that I'm going to drag or that I'm going to smear or smudge. And so that's what that is for. These pens are beautifully inky and they're nice and waterproof as well when I put different layers over top of them. So that is helpful. Not absolutely necessary, but I do really like them for this. So as I said, ignore where they are on the page. This is essentially just a big scrap piece of white cardstock. At some point, obviously, I have just cut some off the end of this page, and that's okay. Just keep using it. And then you're going to draw some lines, some straight lines randomly through your images. Now, there's no rhyme or reason, but remember that we'll be colouring in each one of the little portions that we create, each one of those little sections. So if I were you, I tend not to go super duper small. So don't make any teeny tiny triangles. But then again, you know, you might like that. That might be another little challenge. And also, you might like to just do one larger panel of this, and then you could cut it down. You could cut it into strips and put it across your page. You could die cut out of it. You could, the options are truly endless. This is just showing you how to do the design, and it's showing you one very basic card that I'm going to create with it. And because you want the pattern to really shine. Now, the next bit that we're going to do is we're basically going to round off each one of the corners. Now, I would say that this ink roller pen, it puts out a medium amount of ink. I definitely have some that put out a little bit less, but I like this one because it makes some really definitive black lines. Like, it makes a good solid line without there being too much ink, and without, if my hand goes over it, I'm not smudging it, so it's the perfect amount. I really do like these ones. I think you can buy them individually, but you can also buy them in a 3-pack. That's how I bought them, and I just use them for lots of things. They're really nice if you're going to do some writing as well, or if you need to fill in, if you've stamped in black and it hasn't quite stamped beautifully, then you can fill it in with these gorgeous, very pitch black, dark roller pens. So they're good. So all I'm doing is every single place where it intersects, I am rounding off the corner so it becomes, these end up looking more like stones, I think. And you can kind of round the corners as much or as little as you want. I would say that I've gone for a fairly little amount of rounding on every single corner, but just go through each and every one. Now, you might miss some, and that's okay because you can come back to it for sure. So you can see a big difference between how I first started and what we're up to now. Now, as for colouring, the world is your oyster. You might want to do some shading. I'm going to do the most plain Jane, beautiful colouring today, and I'm going to use some Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. There are 3 markers in every barrel. I've talked about these lots. There is a light, a medium, and a dark, and this has been a fantastic investment for me. However, I'm not using these really as anything in particular today, except for the colour that they are. I have chosen not to do any shading or any, techniques or anything, which you absolutely could do. And again, I think that would elevate this and take it to another level. I have just chosen 4 colors of, I would say, blues and greens. Teals, turquoises, whatever you'd like to call them, but somewhere on the blues and greens side of things, I've chosen 4 different colors, and I'm just trying to make sure that the colours are not right next to each other. It also doesn't matter if they are. Like, it really doesn't matter. This is just one of those beautiful techniques that you can sit down, you could be watching a movie, you could be chatting along with kids, and they just, it's just one of those things that you can sort of sit and colour peacefully. My kids love doing this one alongside me. This is a technique that they're able to do, and so it's fun when we can all sort of work away at our own projects, but heading in the same direction. Now, as I said, you could use anything to do this. This could be just plain old kids' pens, Crayola pens. It could be pencils. It could be watercolor pencils. It could be water-based markers. You could use an ink and some paintbrush. You could use re-inkers. If you really wanted to, I'm sure that you could section each one of these off with Post-it notes and do them different colors that way. You could do the entire rainbow, and just the ideas are absolutely endless. You could do whatever you wish. But I have just stuck with these 4 colors, and I'm pretty happy with that. This took me about a good amount of time, I would say from start to finish, bearing in mind that I do have to muck around just a little bit with lighting and cameras and all of that all the way through this. This card probably took me 30 maybe minutes to do from where to go. So, a nice amount of time to sit down and create a card without it taking a long time. And sometimes I've got more time and sometimes I've got less time. But yeah, as I said, this was just a nice amount of time to sit down and make this gorgeous creation. Now, you can either use your trimmer. If that's what you prefer, you can use a trimmer to cut these down. I am choosing to leave some white around the edge here. But you could all the same just cut them right up against the black. You could add matting layers to these. I decided, although it is quite tricky to see in the video, I'm actually going to go around the edges here and with a really light grey, one of those alcohol markers, and this makes it look like a shadow. It makes it look like it's sort of, you've used foam tape, but you actually haven't. So I'm going on the outside of the black part, so it creates a little shadow. I know it's really hard to see on the video, actually, I think, but nonetheless, that's what I'm going to pop around and do. Now, if you don't like a trimmer, and I really like using my long bladed scissors for this, so whichever one is absolutely fine. Some people feel confident to do a long, big snip with the scissors, and I certainly do. I find this really easy. The ones that I use, the scissors I use, are the Tim Holtz recoil scissors, but honestly, any really long bladed scissors are going to work best for that technique. The fussy cutting ones, I usually don't end up doing it straight if I have to take several sort of snips at the pie. Anyhow, I'm going to go on and use some Ocean Mist cardstock here. This one happens to be from Gina K. I do absolutely love the Gina K cardstocks, but I don't have a huge range of coloured cardstock, so it only just happens to be that I have one that matches not too badly with the colours that I've used, or the colour scheme maybe that I've used goes well. So I am making I think this is 5.5 by 5.5 inch square card base, because remember I made each one of those panels 2 by 2 inches. Now, this is my printable sentiments number 2. Now, on my website, natashafootecreative.com, this one here is available to the paid subscribers. I have printable sentiments number 1 and number 3 that are available for free. And all you do is you download this, it's a PDF, and then you can print it out as many times as you like. You can make it bigger to make the sentiments bigger. You can reduce the size to make them smaller and fit your projects. You can print them in color. You can print them on colored cardstock. All the good things are these, as I said, numbers 1 and 3 are completely free. So even if you are not a paid member at all, you can go to my website, natashafootecreative.com, and download them there. And if you are a paid member, then make sure to take advantage of this, because this one is just for you. And there are a few things that I designed really carefully when thinking about these printable sentiments, and I just wanted to quickly show them to you. So there are circles, there are squares, there are some banners, and there are some tickets. Now, with the squares, these were designed that there were no elements outside of a basic square. So you could snip with your long scissors just like that, and you would be good to go. You could use a trimmer. You could also use a die, of course, a square die. Now, same goes here. The ticket is designed to just go snip, snip along all of those outside edges, and then just a quick little angle with your fussy cutting ones or your littler ones, and then you've got your ticket cut out perfectly as well. So I really thought about the design of all of these elements. Now, with the banners, of course, you can either use a trimmer, but you can go snip, snip down the long sides, and then cut in with your fussy cutting ones. Then with this one, because it's actually got a double border around the outside, you can cut off a single layer of the border if you need it to be a little bit smaller, or leave it as a double border if you need your image to be a bit bigger. And then, of course, all of the circle ones, I have the Hero Arts Infinity Stacking dies, the circle dies, and I sized them roughly to go with this. But of course, if you're going to make them bigger or smaller, then I'm sure you'll have a die that fits. But actually, I tried some waffle flower ones, I tried some honeybee ones. They all work perfectly. There's just some really generic sizes that are going to work perfectly for those sentiments. So that is there. Please go and make good use of it. It is free. Then from ModaScrap, I have these gorgeous little dies. Now this one was already actually in my scrap pile, as was this vellum circle. And so I'm going to make the most of them and use them. They had already been die cut out, which again made this process nice and easy. So I've got those few elements ready to go. These deserve to be not front and center, but I certainly don't want them to be hidden. So I am going to pop these up as well. They have that little faux element of the grey around the outside of them, which again makes them look like they're popped up further from the white background that they are on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to using my Ranger Multimedium in the matte finish here. Now the reason I'm using that on top of my foam tape is so that I can place these all down on the card and then get perfect placement. Because if I just stuck these down, no doubt I would have one or the other that was a bit skew-whiff and I wanted to shift. And if I use my art glitter glue, I find it sets too fast for me to be able to do this technique. So I definitely love my multi-medium. I put this on the back on top of the foam tape, so I still get all that beautiful dimension, but I can still move them around. See, I can go back to the very first ones I stuck down and get them nice and even. Then I've got my circle, which I'll pop on top of my little bubbles there. It just adds that extra little bit, that extra detail, and a little bit of sort of almost elegance to the card. And then pop this up on my vellum circle. The vellum, again, is not to take away from the background, but just to set it apart a little bit so that it doesn't get entirely lost. Then take off the backing of the foam tape, and this card is gorgeous. Now you could leave it as is, or you could add on a few little embellishments, something a bit shiny. I think you could almost go and add some glossy accents or some wink of Stella or something to just individual colors in the background of the squares, so like maybe only the light baby blues or something like that. I think an element to catch the light is stunning. So I've chosen to use some flat sequin embellishments. These ones don't have holes in the middle or anything. They're just a nice flat iridescent sequin, and that is going to be my little shiny element. So gorgeous, easy, quick card, and we have got this all finished, beautiful blues. And let me know what you think of this design in the comment section down below. But other than that, I will see you next time. Thank you for being here, and don't forget to go and get those free printable sentiments from my website. I'll see you then. Bye.